Hey, what's up, guys? After so many videos, how to play dragon with the black pieces, and I know you like and enjoy them so much, it's time to reveal a new secret, how to play against the dragon. And believe it or not, I'm going to give you one of the trickiest variation against the dragon ever, and the line that scores with more than 75% with the white pieces. It's full of tricks, nice tactics, and it's not easy at all for black guys. So let's get started. You just go with e4, c5, knight f3, d6, d4, knight f6, knight c3, g6. And when they play g6, you probably watched Queen's Gambit because you remember that at some point that guy taught her to play f4 Levenfish variation against the dragon system. So it begins with f4. What's the point of f4? To play e5 and to break in the center. I'm going to give you percentages during the whole lecture just to show you how good and how reliable these variations are, and get ready for very spectacular things here. More than 40% of the games go with the bishop g7. When they play bishop g7, you just go and break with e5. e5 is one of the most important things to remember in this variation. That's a crucial thing, and you just want to go with this move because you are hitting the knight on e5. When you play e5, what can they do and what can they play? They just have, they take, you capture, and get ready for real things. We have some nice percentages here. For example, 5% of players go with knight h5. You just have to remember, don't play immediately g4 because they will take on e5 and they will have pressure on the d4 knight. But first give check on b5. And a famous trick, if king f8, boom, knight e6, double attack, check on the king and the queen. Found 10 games in the database. If bishop d7, now the queen doesn't have a pressure on the d4 knight any longer. You play g4 and you trap the knight. You're up a piece, you're completely winning. Another 5% of the games, actually those are 5% of the games. Then we have like 20% of the games go with knight to d5. And when they play knight to d5, one of the most spectacular things happen in this line. You just go bishop b5. They can't play knight c6 because you take. They can't play bishop d7 because you take on d5. So they gotta go king f8. Looks like we've got nothing. You play short castle. You play short castle, you put your king in a safety, f-file is open, and you make such a huge pressure on the f7 pawn and the king on f8. So now they just have to see what are they supposed to do. So when you play like a castle, they can either take on e5 or play e6. Few games I found knight c3, da-da-da-da, knight e6. Sorry, baby. See you next time. If e6, you just go queen f3, threatening mate on f7. Queen c7, you just take on d5. And with a broken king side, weak on f7, threaten of this one, knight e6, e6, so many other things, what is completely winning. And I found like 10, 15 games in the database as well. And finally, if they play bishop e5, looks like everything is cool for black because they're up a pawn and they will be able to defend themselves with the king g7 afterwards. Well, here's the real thing. You take on d5 and get ready for something really attractive. They take by queen, threatening both. Looks like we're losing one of these pieces. Don't shake. Actually, be absolutely cool and get yourself ready for something really beautiful. You go bishop h6 and take a look at this one. If they play king g8, a spectacular knight f5, discovery on the queen on d5. So if they take this knight, you take the queen for free. If they take on d1, you deliver checkmate on e7. If they go with queen c5 check, you go with bishop e3 threatening that queen. And when they take on b5, you deliver checkmate on d8. And finally, if they play queen c7 after bishop e3, you give knight h6 check, king g7, and another fantastic mating pattern with rook f7. All things considered, after bishop h6, they gotta play bishop g7. And usually, people are so confused about the following thing. Are you ready? Bishop c4. Take a look at this. Another attractive move on chess.com. This would get like 2 exclamation mark, and it's surely a brilliancy. Why? You can't take on d4 because the bishop is pinned. And actually king is pinned. And if queen c4, you have knight e6 discovery, and you deliver queen d8 with a checkmate. What a nice amount of spectacular sacrifices here with a fantastic mating patterns. And finally, we have 50% of the games. 50% of the games, guys, go with the knight g4 after e5, d takes, f takes. 50% of the games. So you go bishop e5 check, and let me just show you what's happening. If they go knight c6, you take the knight for free. Go home, buddy. If they go with bishop d7, see you next time when you learn the lines. And finally, if they go with a king f8, sorry, but you have to learn these miniatures. Knight e6, and you threaten both queen and the king. Can you imagine that I found more than 200 or 300 games being played like this? It's completely crazy. All things considered, after you play e5, d takes, f takes, they gotta go knight d7. 25% of the games go like this. When they play knight e7, you anyways break with e6, which is initially one of the most important ideas for white in this position. And when you play e6, they gotta go with knight e5. If f takes e6, you just take on e6 and you win once again a piece. Bishop on g7 or queen on d8. Who's crazy to lose the queen on d8? If knight e5, and they gotta go with knight e5, you just go bishop e5 check, knight bc6, e takes f7, short castle, and here I checked few games. I found one correspondence game. White is easily winning after knight takes c6, b takes c6, and bishop a4. I put a yellow color on all these pawns, which means that a pawn structure is completely broken. You have absolutely safe middle game, whether it's with queens on the board, which is extremely dangerous for the king on f7, or without the queens on the board. After queen d1, you will recapture by knight, and in that case, you just have a very pleasant type of queenless middle game. And finally, you're probably wondering, why did I tell you that typical dragon players, and on your level everybody's going to play bishop g7, but why these dragon players go with only 40% with the bishop g7? Because good dragon players and those who know the theory, they will play knight c6. And now I won't show you anything tricky, but I'm going to show you an extremely easy, simple plan that scores fantastic with the white pieces. And myself, as a dragon player, always feel kind of uncomfortable against the following line. It's, believe it or not, knight going back to f3. Topolov, or Judith Polgar played it against Topolov and made a great win. I remember Grandmaster Sholak played it against me. We drew the game, but it was a game with mutual chances. Johnny Hector, a Swedish GM who likes crazy openings, played it a couple of times and won most of his games. But why is that so nice and so simple for playing with white pieces? Because all of you who have something in, like in common with the Grand Prix attack, or who just used to play the Grand Prix attack in the past, you guys are gonna be familiar with the following ideas. So look at this. When they go with bishop g7, you play bishop d3, over protecting the center. Castle, castle, and now we have two options. Majority of the games by black guys go with the double fianchetto. a6, you put the king in safety. You know the old rule when you play against the Sicilians. When you play f4, place the king on h1 and put it into safety. After king h1, b5, because they're just getting ready for the double fianchetto. And the whole point of this system, and that's what makes it so easy for playing with white pieces, is a Grand Prix idea with queen e1 and queen h4. After bishop b7, queen h4, and all you have to do f5. Believe me, guys, when you play bishop h6, knight g5 with existing queen on h4, this is absolutely the same approach like the Grand Prix attack, and black has tremendous problems to stop and to fight against this. This is how the game between Amonatov, very strong GM, 2650, FIDE, played against another IM and won in a crushing razor attack on the king side. And another thing could be if they play bishop g4, like I wanna, like kill your knight on f3, and then you wouldn't have a possibility of playing queen h4, bishop h6, eventually by knight g5. Maybe, but I'm still gonna have queen e1, queen h4, so I still go with this idea. They take it because they have to. e6, like getting the full flexibility. Placing the king on h1, we always want to do that sooner or later. Rook c8, bringing the rook back to cover the back rank, not to be under any knight d4 ideas and threats. And after rook e8, Judith Polgar played queen f2. Her idea after queen f2 was to play f5, to open up the f-file, to make some x-rays against the knight on f6 and pawn on f7, followed by bishop g5 with very strong pressure. Topalov played a6, Judith played f5, and when Topalov played knight d7, Polgar played queen g3. She won a beautiful game, and for the rest of this game, you can just check afterwards something, but I just have to tell you something. You already pushed f5. It's supported by the bishop on d3, rook on f1. You can even include in some of these positions crazy h4, h5 ideas. Dark square bishop does a great job threatening all the time bishop g5 or joining the kingside attack at some point and somehow. And Judith Polgar, who is still so good at creating tactics, came up with a great attack and won the game. Hope that you enjoyed in this short lecture, and I'm pretty sure after this video you're going to like to play against my favorite dragon opening. Thanks so much. Subscribe and come up with some donations as well. I won't mind again that. Thank you so much. Bye bye, guys.